All right, get ready, because today we're going deep, and I mean deep,
Deep.
into a topic chosen just for you, our listener.
Yeah, that's right.
You've got a trip to Everglades National Park coming up,
Sounds awesome.
and you're really interested in the Anhinga Trails, so that's what we're diving into today.
You bet.
We've got a whole pile of articles, park websites, even a YouTube video,
Oh, nice.
all about the Anhinga Trail, so by the end of this, you'll be a total pro.
Total pro.
You ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so let's get started with the Anhinga Trail itself.
Okay.
I know it's this really popular trail,
Super popular.
and it's a pretty short loop, right? Like less than a mile.
Yeah, it's just a 0.8 mile loop.
Okay.
But what's really cool about it is it's just packed with wildlife.
Oh, I've heard that.
It's known for it.
It's like
I am-
the place to go if you want to see alligators and birds.
Yeah, you're almost guaranteed to see alligators.
Really?
I mean, like, a lot of them.
Wow.
And tons of birds, too.
Okay, so what makes this trail so special? Why is there so much wildlife concentrated in this one spot?
So the trail actually follows the path of this waterway called Taylor's Slough.
Yeah.
And Taylor's Slough is one of the few places in this area that holds water year-round, even during the dry season.
Oh, interesting.
So all these animals, they're looking for water, and they know they can find it there, so it's like this magnet for wildlife.
So it's like a little oasis in the middle of the Everglades.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
And because of that constant water, it creates this incredible biodiversity.
Okay.
You get all these different species living in close proximity, which makes it perfect for wildlife viewing.
Wow, so it's like a microcosm of the Everglades ecosystem, all in one easy-to-access place.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, a microcosm.
But, I mean, is that really the right word?
Oh,
Microcosm.
I think so.
I mean, it sounds a bit, well, small.
Right.
Doesn't it kind of downplay the vastness of the Everglades as a whole?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like comparing a sample platter to a full-blown feast.
I like that analogy.
You get a taste of the flavors, but you're not getting the whole experience.
That's a really good point.
So maybe microcosm isn't the perfect word.
Maybe not.
But I get what you mean. It's like a concentrated version of the Everglades diversity.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so I'm sold. I want to see this amazing trail.
You should.
But first things first, where is it exactly?
All right, so you'll find it on the eastern side of Everglades National Park,
Okay,
close to Homestead,
which is how far from Miami?
about an hour's drive south.
Gotcha.
And you'll want to enter through the Homestead entrance.
Okay, good to know.
And just a heads up, there's a $35 entrance fee per vehicle.
Oh, right.
But if you're planning on visiting multiple national parks, you should definitely look into the America the Beautiful Pass.
Oh, yeah.
It's just $80 for an entire year of park access.
$80 for a whole year.
Yeah,
That's a steal.
it is.
All right, so we've got our bearings.
Mhm.
We've got our pass.
Check.
We're ready to hit the trail.
Awesome.
So let's talk wildlife. What can we expect to see on the Anhinga Trail?
Well, first of all, get ready to see a lot of alligators.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about those alligators.
I mean, a lot.
A lot.
Like, sometimes they're practically piled up on top of each other.
Whoa, seriously?
Seriously, it's amazing, but it's super important to remember that these are wild animals,
Of course.
and we need to respect their space.
Right, safety first.
Exactly. The park recommends keeping a safe distance of at least 15 feet.
15 feet. Okay, got it.
That's for your safety and for theirs.
Makes sense.
We want everyone to have a good experience.
Absolutely, no alligator wrestling allowed.
Definitely not.
Okay, so we've got the alligators, but what about the birds?
Oh, the birds.
It is called the Anhinga Trail, after all.
Right. So you're pretty much guaranteed to see Anhingas.
Anhingas.
Yeah, they're these really cool birds.
What makes them so cool?
Well, they're sometimes called snake birds because of the way they swim.
Snake bird.
Yeah, they stick their heads above the water and their bodies are submerged, so they look like snakes.
Oh, that's good description.
And they have these beautiful black and white feathers
Nice.
and these bright turquoise eyes.
Wow, sounds striking.
They are really beautiful birds.
Okay, so we've got Anhingas.
Mm-hmm.
What other birds can we expect to see?
Get ready for a whole lot of birds.
Okay, hit me.
You'll see herons,
Okay.
egrets, cormorants,
Nice.
gallinules, ibis,
Wow.
even roseate spoonbills if you're lucky.
Roseate spoonbill.
Yeah, they're like pink herons.
Pink herons.
I know, right?
Yes.
Super
Oh,
cool.
Awesome.
They have these amazing spoon-shaped bills, hence the name.
Okay, now I have to see one of those.
They're pretty special.
So alligators, Anhingas, pink herons,
Mm.
Anything else we should keep our eyes peeled for?
Oh, definitely. You'll see turtles sunning themselves on logs.
Oh, nice.
You might even spot a snake or two.
Yeah.
And don't forget about all the smaller creatures.
Like,
You'll see fish darting around in the water,
Yeah.
colorful butterflies, and dragonflies flitting about.
sounds like a nature lover's paradise.
It really is.
Okay, you've convinced me I need to book this trip.
Yes.
But before I do, any insider tips to make the most of my Anhinga Trail experience? Like, stuff I wouldn't find in the guidebooks.
All right, here's a pro tip.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about taking a ranger-led tour.
Oh, yeah.
You'll learn so much more from someone who really knows the ecosystem.
That's a great idea.
Plus, they can point out things you might miss on your own.
Yeah, I'm all about those hidden gems.
And another thing to be aware of, watch out for black vultures in the parking lot.
Black vultures, what? Why?
Apparently, they like to peck at rubber car parts,
No way.
especially windshield wipers.
Seriously.
Seriously, the visitor center even provides tarps to protect your car,
Good to know.
just in case.
So I've got to protect my car from vultures.
Just a heads up,
That's a new one.
it's all part of the adventure.
Okay, so besides the Anhinga Trail itself,
Hmm.
are there any other trails nearby that you'd recommend?
Absolutely. You should check out the Gumbo Limbo Trail.
Gumbo Limbo Trail, what's that like?
It's totally different from the Anhinga Trail.
Oh,
The Anhinga Trail is all about those sawgrass prairies and open waterways,
right.
but the Gumbo Limbo Trail takes you through a shaded hammock.
A hammock. Like for sleeping?
No, not that kind of hammock.
Okay, good.
In the Everglades, a hammock is a dense forest filled with hardwood trees.
Oh, interesting.
It's like stepping into a prehistoric jungle.
Okay, now you're talking.
You'll see all these amazing trees.
Like what?
Gumbo limbo trees, of course.
Makes sense.
Mahogany, strangler figs.
Wow, it sounds beautiful.
It is. It's a really unique experience.
Okay, so Anhinga Trail for the open views and the wildlife,
Yes.
and Gumbo Limbo Trail for the shady jungle vibes.
Exactly.
I'm like,
Two totally different sides of the Everglades.
okay, last question before we move on.
Hit me.
If I only have a limited time in the Everglades, when is the absolute best time to experience the Anhinga Trail?
Okay, good question.
Because I know the Everglades has those wet and dry seasons.
Right. Definitely.
But what's the ideal time to go?
Well, the dry season, which runs from December to April, is generally the best time to visit the Everglades in general.
Okay.
And that applies to the Anhinga Trail as well.
Makes sense.
The weather is cooler, less humid, there are fewer mosquitoes,
Always a plus.
and the wildlife is more concentrated around water sources.
So better viewing opportunities.
Exactly.
Okay, dry season it is.
No.
But are there any perks to visiting during other times of year?
You know, spring is a really cool time to visit.
Oh.
It's prime bird nesting season,
Oh, wow.
especially March and April.
Nice.
Imagine seeing those roseate spoonbills with their chicks.
That would be amazing.
It's really special.
Okay, so dry season for the best overall experience.
Yeah.
And spring for the baby birds.
You got it.
What about summer?
Well, summer in the Everglades is hot
Yeah,
Humid.
I bet.
and buggy.
Oh, no.
The wildlife might be a bit harder to spot too because the water levels are higher.
Oh, right.
So if you have to go in the summer, I'd recommend going early in the morning.
Yeah, beat the heat.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered the Anhinga Trail.
We have.
We know where it is,
Yeah.
what to expect, and when to go.
Check.
But our research goes beyond just the Anhinga Trail.
Oh, yeah.
We dove deep into the Everglades ecosystem as a whole.
Deeper.
Are you ready to explore more?
Absolutely. I can't wait.
All right, let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've been talking about how the Anhinga Trail is this amazing hotspot for wildlife,
It is.
and it's all because of that constant water source.
Right.
Right, the
Okay.
Taylor Slough.
Exactly.
But what about the rest of the Everglades?
Mhm.
Doesn't the water level fluctuate throughout the year?
It does.
It's got those wet and dry seasons.
That's right.
So how does that work? How does that affect the wildlife?
Well, it's actually really important for the ecosystem.
Right.
Those fluctuating water levels, they create this kind of heartbeat.
A heartbeat.
Yeah, like a rhythm
Oh, interesting.
that drives the whole cycle of life in the Everglades.
So tell me more about that. Like, how does it work?
So during the wet season, everything's flooded, right?
Right.
And that creates this vast network of waterways.
Oh.
Fish, they can spread out, reproduce.
Makes sense.
Wading birds, they have a feast
Yeah.
because there's so much prey available.
Okay, so it's a time of abundance.
Exactly.
But what about the dry season?
Ah, the dry season.
What happens then?
Things get a little tougher.
I bet.
The water recedes,
Mm-hmm.
and the animals, they have to concentrate around the remaining water sources.
Oh, okay.
Like those gator holes we were talking about earlier.
Gator holes.
Right.
What are those again?
Oh, right. Those depressions that alligators dig out.
Exactly.
They act like little oases during the dry season.
Like crazy. So all the animals, they gather around those gator holes.
They do.
Fish, turtles, birds.
Even other alligators?
Wow. So it's like a whole drama unfolding in those gator holes.
He is.
With the alligators as the, like, unintentional landlords.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And that's why places like the Anhinga Trail are so great for wildlife viewing during the dry season, right?
Exactly.
Because all the animals are concentrated in those areas.
It's like a wildlife show.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Those fluctuating water levels, they create this natural cycle of abundance and scarcity.
Right.
And that drives the behavior of the animals.
It's all connected.
It's incredible.
It is, and that's what makes the Everglades so resilient.
Resilient.
Yeah, it's adapted to these extremes over thousands of years.
So it can handle those big swings in water level.
It can. It's built for it.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is.
You know, speaking of extremes,
Yeah.
I remember reading about this crazy encounter between an alligator and a Burmese python, like right there on the Anhinga Trail.
It was a big deal.
What happened? Remind me.
So, back in 2003,
Okay.
tourists saw this epic battle.
Epic.
It lasted for 24 hours.
Whoa.
This alligator and this huge python
No way.
just going at it.
Wow.
And then another alligator even joined in at one point,
Seriously?
like a three-way battle.
That's insane.
It was,
And who won?
well, the snake actually got away.
The snake?
Yeah, managed to escape.
Unbelievable.
I know, right?
But that whole thing kind of brings up another issue, right?
What's that?
Invasive species.
Ah.
The Burmese pythons.
A big problem.
They're not supposed to be in the Everglades.
Nope.
They're causing all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, that's right.
Like what kind of trouble are they causing?
Well, they're competing with native wildlife for food.
Okay.
They're preying on native species.
Oh, no.
They're disrupting the balance.
So these pythons are kind of throwing a wrench in the whole Everglades ecosystem.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's not just the pythons, right?
Right.
I read about other invasive species
And
too.
there are a lot, unfortunately.
Like what?
Melaleuca trees.
Right.
Brazilian pepper plants.
Mm-hmm.
All sorts of plants and animals that don't belong here.
And they're causing problems too.
Yeah, they're disrupting the natural order of things.
So what can be done about it?
Well, there are efforts to control these invasive species.
Okay.
Like there are python removal programs.
Okay.
Scientists are working on ways to manage the spread of invasive plants.
That's good.
But it's a tough battle.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It's a constant effort.
It's like protecting the Everglades is this ongoing challenge.
It is, against both natural and human-induced threats.
That's a good point. Human impact is a big factor too.
Definitely.
And speaking of human impact,
Yeah.
what about that comprehensive Everglades restoration plan?
Ah, yes.
I've heard about it, but I don't really know much about it.
It's a big deal.
I know it's huge, but tell me more.
It's one of the largest ecosystem restoration projects ever.
Wow.
It's a multi-decade effort
Oh,
to restore the natural flow of water through the Everglades.
Okay, so remind me again, why is that natural flow of water so important?
So historically, the Everglades was this vast, slow-moving river of grass.
Right.
Water flowed from Lake Okeechobee all the way down to Florida Bay.
Okay.
But over the years, we've built all these canals and levees and dams,
Right.
and they've disrupted that natural flow.
Oh, what?
And that's caused all sorts of problems for the ecosystem.
Got it.
So this restoration plan, it's basically trying to undo some of that damage.
By restoring that natural flow of water.
Exactly.
Wow, that's a huge undertaking.
It is.
What kind of things are they doing to restore that flow?
Well, they're removing canals,
Okay.
raising roads,
Mhm.
building reservoirs,
Okay.
creating new water pathways,
Wow.
all sorts of things to try and mimic the natural flow as closely as possible.
That's incredible.
It's pretty amazing.
It's encouraging to know that people are working so hard to protect the Everglades.
It is. It gives me hope.
You know, speaking of efforts,
Yeah.
I remember one of the YouTube videos we watched had some great tips for making the most of your Anhinga Trail experience.
Oh, yeah. What were those?
I'm trying to remember.
Well, one thing that stood out to me was the advice to slow down.
Slow down.
Yeah, like really take your time.
Don't just rush through it.
Exactly. Stop. Observe.
Okay.
Listen, really soak it all in.
That's good advice.
It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of spotting wildlife.
Yeah, like you're on a mission.
Right, but you miss so much if you're just rushing.
I totally agree.
And another tip was to look beyond the obvious.
Look beyond the obvious.
Yeah, don't just focus on the big animals.
Like the alligators.
And the birds.
Okay.
Look at the plants, the insects.
The little things.
Exactly, the details.
That's a good point.
There's beauty everywhere.
Yeah, those little moments of discovery, they're what make it special. And speaking of discovery, I think the video also mentioned something about a unique feature of the Taylor Slough.
It did.
Something we haven't talked about yet.
That's right.
What was it? Remind me.
Well, it turns out that the Taylor Slough is home to this special type of periphyton.
What now?
Periphyton.
I'm not familiar with that term.
It's basically a community of algae, bacteria, and other microorganisms that grow on submerged surfaces like plants and rocks.
So it's like a microscopic ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly.
Within the larger ecosystem.
That's right.
Wow.
And in the Taylor Slough, this periphyton forms these thick mats.
Okay.
And those mats are a primary food source for a lot of animals.
Oh, interesting.
Snails, crayfish, small fish.
So it's like the foundation of the food chain.
It is. It's essential.
It's amazing how everything's connected.
It really is.
Even those tiny microorganisms, they play such a vital role.
It's all part of the balance.
It's incredible how much there is to learn about the Everglades.
There's always more to discover.
The more we dig in, the more I realize how much I don't know.
That's the beauty of it, right?
Well, yeah, it's a place of constant learning.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Yeah.
Just keep finding more and more.
More complexity.
More wonder.
More to explore.
Exactly.
Okay, well now I'm excited to keep exploring.
Me too.
What else did our research uncover about the Everglades?
Let's see, where do we go from here?
Those tiny organisms in the Taylor Slough, it's just wild.
It is.
They're like this hidden world.
Yeah.
Doing their thing.
Totally.
And it's so important.
Makes you think, huh?
It does. It makes you realize that everything's connected.
It really is.
Even the stuff we can't even see.
Absolutely.
And speaking of connections.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how the Everglades acts as this giant filter for water.
Oh, yeah. It's a natural filtration system.
It's pretty amazing.
It is.
Like this huge sponge soaking up the rain and cleaning the water.
Exactly.
So it's not just good for the wildlife.
Nope.
It benefits people too.
Big time.
Millions of people rely on the Everglades for their drinking water.
It's a vital resource.
So the health of the Everglades, it directly impacts our own well-being.
That's right.
It's all connected.
Like we've been saying.
And that interconnectedness.
Yeah.
That was a big theme in our research.
Definitely.
The Everglades is all about relationships.
It is.
Everything has a role to play.
It's like a big puzzle.
And every piece matters.
Exactly.
Like those alligators with their gator holes.
Yeah.
Providing shelter for other animals.
Even though they don't mean to.
Right. It's just part of what they do.
Nature's funny like that.
It is.
And those wading birds, they help control the insects.
Keeping things in check.
Yep.
And even the tiniest creatures.
Like that periphyton.
Yeah.
They contribute to the balance.
It's a reminder that every action has a ripple effect.
That's a good way to put it.
You know, we talked about the comprehensive Everglades restoration plan. That massive effort to restore the water flow.
It's a big deal.
But one of the things that really stood out to me in our research was the emphasis on individual actions.
Oh.
Like, what can we do as individuals to help protect the Everglades?
Because it can feel overwhelming, right?
It does.
These big environmental problems.
Like, what difference can one person really make?
It's easy to feel that way.
But the research actually gave some good examples.
It did.
Of simple things we can do.
Like what?
Well, for example, being mindful of our water usage.
Oh, yeah.
Like fixing leaky faucets.
Easy fix.
Choosing water-efficient appliances.
It is different.
And supporting organizations that are working to protect the Everglades.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just volunteering our time.
We're donating.
We're just spreading awareness.
Every little bit helps.
It's about recognizing that we're all part of this system.
We are.
And our actions matter.
They do.
And education is key, too.
Absolutely.
The more we learn about the Everglades, the more we can appreciate it.
And protect.
So even something as simple as sharing what we've learned from this deep dive with our friends and family.
That's a great idea.
It can make a difference.
It can.
It's about spreading that knowledge.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up our exploration of the Anhinga Trail in the Everglades.
It's been a journey.
It has.
One thought keeps coming back to me.
Oh, what's that?
The Anhinga Trail, it's amazing, right?
It is.
But it's just a starting point.
Okay.
It's like this little window.
Into the Everglades.
Exactly.
And it makes you want to explore more.
It does.
Like an invitation to go deeper.
To uncover the secrets of the Everglades.
Whether you're kayaking, hiking, or just standing on that boardwalk, it's about approaching the Everglades with respect.
Definite.
Curiosity.
And a sense of wonder.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From those tiny microorganisms to those massive restoration efforts.
It's a complex ecosystem.
It is.
But hopefully you're feeling inspired.
I know I am.
Ready for your own Everglades adventure.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about.
To all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Everglades.
It's been fun.
We'll catch you next time for another exciting exploration.
See you then.